Well, it's really interesting as you put that. Look, there's a whole conversation that we could have as well, talking about that, about the psychology, the drivers of a creative, and something I'm really interested in. Perhaps we can have this conversation again. Is about how you tie that in to like higher ROAS or higher retention users as well. But that's a whole thing for another time.
Yeah.
Okay. So what if I were to kind of summarize what you're saying there? Basically, you're saying, you don't have to beat the control, you don't have to beat it by a mile. You can even be slightly worse in terms of performance, but you have to do it to avoid that creative fatigue.
I think it's important to understand what is creative fatigue. It's actually, I don't know how much person have frequency of seeing that ad, how much, I don't know, person that's seeing that ad is not, and it's not reacted. And usually on all the networks you have, like, I don't know, long term, if you're doing one creating, showing only one creative, for example, if you have on the street one billboard that is showing buy this with, I don't know, green color, people will get bored and will stop noticing it. The most important thing is to find the way how to present the legacy creatives in the another way. For example, you have that green billboard on the street, you need to wake up those people that is walking by them every day. You need to change color, you need to change background, you need to change font, you need to change something, but the core needs to be the same, because they need to understand what it's about.
So
that's it.
there's also an opportunity to perhaps reinvigorate a hero creative through iteration.
That's something that we kind of because we tested. For example, we have when we have creative brainstorms once a month, for example, and we are discussing the ideas, everything, all team together and everything. And we have, for example, time for the new concepts and time for the reiterations. And usually why I'm saying this before is because usually that iterations of the legacy creatives give results. So, for example, we change the backgrounds, we change the color scheme, we change the paths, we change something, but in the core, we are not changing anything in the terms of the concept. Maybe, I don't know, CTAs, different button. That's something that we, I don't know, kind of find out.
Interesting, really interesting. Well, we've been on a bit of a journey with you now. I feel like I've had the story over the last 4 years in terms of how you're progressing. Help me out with a bit of a kind of summation here of everything we've covered. So if someone was interested in getting into or doing a better job of creative testing today, what 2 or 3 things would you tell them to focus on or get better at to see the biggest returns there?
I would say that number one would really be, I'm always looking at like outside and a organizational perspective, but to really get your entire team involved. Don't, this is why I underlined it so much, don't underestimate to really include a lot of people into brainstormings, into understanding what it means, and into understanding who your audience is. So you already have some, background and some data, and you can more or less see who your audience is and who is responding the best. So really even think about, as Rami said, are you expanding to Japanese? What are their motivations? It's not the same as US audience or European audience. It's something completely different. So they prefer a different kind of challenge. So thinking about it more, and even that resulting in less creatives, in my opinion, is better rather than just, shooting 1,000 creatives and see what sticks.
Nice.
I think the thought process is really important. Think about optimization and the goals of your campaigns. So if your goals are ROAS, and if you're targeting high value pairs, UA managers have to help the creative team into thinking which formats, which lengths, which channels are we targeting, and really leave all assumptions at the door. So testing is the best way to see it. You don't have to invest a lot of money into tests. You can just have, as Rami said, 50 to 100 creatives could give you at least an idea of if it's worth testing more. Yeah, installs. 50 to 100 installs is enough to show you if it's worth, expanding to more data. But I think, and it happens so many times that we are having like So I have a version A and a version B, and we cannot come into agreement of, should we do A or B? And I would usually just cut it and say, let's just test both, and then the public will say, because you never know in the end what works. So
Okay.
that's from me.
Great. How about yourself, Ramiz?
I would, I don't know, suggest people 3 things to focus if you want to have creative testing, right? I would focus firstly on your audience, who is your core audience, and then I would focus also on your, I don't know, game. So for example, okay, what are your game about? What do you want to represent, and what your audience is saying? And then after I'll focus on network. Where do you advertise? So kind of this is crucial, I don't know, pillars when you need to prepare some creative.